Web technology dynamics creates a real new sales intelligence, and I want to bring you 6 principles of how to grow to your first 100 million. I know it's really hard even to make the first million, but I know that, and I think it's logical that I speak first because we're not close to the 100 million. When someone after me speaks about how you raise from 100 to 1 billion, yeah, so this is a big game, yeah. So I'm really happy about and hear that, because this is where we want to go. We want not to stick by the 100, we want to go over the 100. We want to go beyond the billion. Why we want to do that? Because we successfully already did one big project, you will hear that. The thing is, most people don't get that right today when we are speaking about sales. Why? Because most is really here in this picture is very clear, brought to you about sales and the different kinds of sales. You have a transactional sales, and that means in a transactional sales there is not really anyone really involved. I guess everyone in this room has, from you guys, have bought something from Amazon. Raise your hand if you haven't. So everyone. But raise your hand if you had a direct contact with a salesperson. No one. So it's a transactional sales. In a consulting sales, it's something very different. You have a different approach. You speak with people. You have to communicate. You have to engage. It's a whole thing. And the same is true for the enterprise sales. Most people today want to have a service from enterprise, or to be engaging with someone in a consulting sales situation and have the commodity price of a transactional sales. And this is not working. Yeah, this doesn't work. We know that, but it's important to realize that. I brought here a couple of things, what's happening around the world right now in the B2C sector. Maybe you see that with Instagram on top-down right side, and Uber, a new service that really brings out, and definitely everybody or every one of us has read about WhatsApp, that 55 people are here in an extremely unbelievable upscale of almost 19 billions, yeah? So there is absolutely a lot going on in the B2C area, but be aware, the same is true in the B2B area, and most people don't see that so much. First of all, one of the really big companies growing dramatically at the top right, HubSpot in the marketing automation. The whole process of sales is changing there. The same is true, definitely, one of our competitors, Salesforce, on the bottom right side. And something what we did, we brought it really successfully into the world. We were the company who was the first line programming it, and still programming up today and hosting it around the world. WorldCheck in the B2B area. It was bought by Thomson Reuters a couple of years ago for more than $500 million. And it's our money laundering, fraud, and terrorist lists. It's about compliance services. The sales cycle and everything has tremendously turned around and made a big shift. And so the thing is, what is really web technology doing? And web technology has created a totally new buying and selling process, a cycle not only for the seller, much more for the buyer. And so what you have to do today, you have to create new growth through innovation. If you don't have innovation, and this is why some people pay so much money for companies that are coming up, if you don't have a new innovation, it's gone. And for innovation, it's really hard for the buyer and also for the seller to understand it all. So it needs insight into the needs and the challenges of the buyer. And that's the big difference, what's happening. A big change today. The same is true, and maybe you know this guy, Neil Rackham. He was definitely publishing very interesting and very successful books around the world, with his quote here when he's saying, that the supervision is important. That means sales management is all about. The reality today is that sales management is managing data, not people. Data, not people. And so I think here we have a big change. And so I formed right now 6 principles what it means as a company in our stage to bring us there, to reach really a 100 million very fast. So what are the 6 principles that you can apply, I would say, even in your personal life? Whatever you do, you will see, you can apply these principles in any business aspects of your life. And definitely for us as a company, number 1, focus on the results. This is top number 1. You have to focus on the results. But the results are definitely the most important is the revenue, but not the only one. Yeah, revenue is not the only one. If you build a big company, and I think Thomas will definitely later on will underline that, there needs a clear infrastructure, or you have to cut down probably your product line, or you have to do other stuff to achieve the outstanding results. But you have to focus. And for that, it needs a clear structure and a scalable process. I think this is really key. If you don't have a scalable process, if you don't have that at the beginning, it will not work. Because when you scale and the process, the infrastructure is not there, you cannot scale. Yeah, it falls apart. The other part of that is, and I think I liked that so much from Frederick Malik when he was writing a book about that, and he said, the results should give you pleasure, nothing else. So when you achieve the results, that gives you pleasure in a company. Then you focus, and then you cheer, and then you do that. And I've heard something very dramatic, interesting, and I like that. A company, when the biggest sales is happening, they have a horn in the whole company, and when they close a deal, the company knows when this horn is going on, they had a 100K deal, and everybody is wow, going wild. So when you have 4 horns a day, that would be cool. Can you imagine? So number 2, principle number 2, contribution to the whole. I'm speaking right now, and Go Ahead is all about that, to bring the leaders together, to give the content, the education on that, and that means contribution to the whole, speaking from the perspective of a leader, what he has to focus on. And I like so much the picture here because it shows exactly what it is, what it has to be. You have the fun part and you have the office part, the hard part in that. And you have to follow that. And contribution in the whole means you have to oversee everything. You have to see that. And through the web, the first time in history, you can execute that. You can bring this big picture. Never before you could do that. It's amazing to me that technology today makes it possible that you can bring that. Little hierarchy, entrepreneurial behavior in the company, and come up with that thinking out of the box. Thinking out of the box. If you don't do that, and for that reason, the challenge, and I can say that the challenge for us as a company are, because we are operating right now in 6 markets, very slow compared to Activision later on, yeah, but we are a beginner. But still, the challenge is there. You cannot smell a modern company. How you can? You can, yeah. Neither you can hear it or touch it. So it only can be reconstructed or constructed in the heads of the people. And this helps to the technology, because you can always do that. You have the GoToMeetings, you have the platforms, the collaboration platforms and everything. So the challenge is there. And you have to bring in the management. If they don't see the big picture, if they don't see that it's growing in that direction, it will not happen. So principle number 2 is about seeing the big picture, contribution to the whole. Principle number 3, concentrate on a few things. It's so easy to get distracted. I have my workload today is I'm getting up very, very, very early. Some people know, and having all these calls, and there's tons of stuff because everybody has probably good ideas if you have smart people around you, and you have to concentrate on the few things. You cannot deliver that all. What that means in the reality, a pinball machine mentality will never be helping you in that. It's a problem. Why? Because you are not acting, you're just only reacting. The focus must be really on acting, on what you do. And I think that's the challenge, to figure that out. What is the thing, what we have to do now in the stage to reach where we want to go, the goal. Everything could be good, yeah, but it's about this concentration and that. So focus is really on the acting and not on the reacting to reach that goal that we have set. And I think the whole company has to be in line in that. You have always to bring them and to communicate that and to tell them why we do that, how we do that, when we do it, and then bring the spirit together. And today's knowledge workers, and I have almost, I can say, really only knowledge workers in my company. They're all smart people, brilliant, smart people, yeah? And not only the programmers. It's really, we are trying to hire the best people, the best team. Why? Because they filter today constantly and with endurance the information that hinders them to be efficient and to be productive. And maybe you like that when Neo was just fighting with this guy in the movie Matrix. Yeah, you remember that. He has to concentrate constantly. Okay, yeah, he has to concentrate. And the concentration is everything. It's the key to success. It's the key to success for reaching the result. For that reason, you have to utilize your strengths. Get away from the weaknesses or go to the strengths of the people. And I think this is the top number one is to put again the salesperson into the driver's seat. And for that, if you put him into the driver's seat, you have to put him and give him the tools that he can really be effective and execute that. If you don't do that, and management should come in and partner as coach and mentor. The reality is different. What is management doing today? Management today is not coaching people. Management today in sales, specifically in sales, is coaching numbers. Numbers. Constantly reviewing that. And so it's so different if you coach really a person and to see the weaknesses, and then you say, oh, this is your weakness. Why I should invest training, education. Why I should do that? Because it's wrong. I should utilize your strengths. And you see, if you would have a tool that sees immediately that you never be a closer, that you never be a real farmer because you're a hunter. You're the best one. I would guess today, I was looking around a little bit. In our first meeting, I'm very excited about the first meeting. Nobody knows us, yeah, and we had just spread it out. The word was going out, and I'm really happy that we have a nice crowd here for our first Power Breakfast in Los Angeles, because we are no name, yeah, no brand, nobody knows us. The only one who we really got is our host, Red Bull, and Activision Thomas. Yeah, so I'm happy about that. But you see, the thing is to concentrate and to help them and to coach them is about not about the numbers. It's about the people, and you have to help them. But you only can help them really if you have time for that. What would happen if I would say today, to close that thought, I saw who is a hunter and who is a farmer of you? There were only a few people who are really hunters here. Why? Because a hunter tries what? To get to know everyone here. At least the business card. To go in and say, who is this, who is this, who is this, who is this, I need this. Isn't that true? Is it different? No, we don't have to value that at better or worse. Yeah? It's just different. So utilizing the strengths. What that means when you utilize the strengths, please look at that. I feel this is so important to build a support structure of the gifted ones. Because you see, when you have a gifted ones, when they do something really good, you don't have to motivate them to do what they do. Isn't that true? Yeah? You don't have to motivate a guy who's already doing something where he's an expert. Most companies try to bring a person who is an expert and has some weaknesses in the form of training in his weakness. Waste of time, money, waste of energy, and definitely in any area of resources. So whatever you do easily and well, ask that yourself right now. What I like to do and what I do easy and well. Here, you should be educated in that area. The company should focus in that. utilizing strengths. I like that much. You see, everyone is always easy thinking positive when everything goes good. But if you got punched, and we all got punched often in business, isn't that true? Yeah? No, you're not? Okay, well, I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. You're all that successful already, you're not never got punched. Isn't that not only the customer punch you sometimes really hard about your product, about your service, about your ideas and how you treat them, but also your own people punch you sometimes. So what that means for a leader to think positive, what that really means, yeah? Everybody would say, sure, but the reality is, in every problem is hidden an opportunity. It's about how you think. It's about seeing the benefit. You, as a leader, you should see the benefit and coaching your team to leverage that. This is what it's all about. Isn't that? This is all about to move to the next thing. And in a network society today, Twitter, I have a great example to that. Really, a great example to that. I'm hard to say that for the guy who was the president right now from Turkey. He got really punched hard. He tried to shut down Twitter. Yeah, you were reading the newspaper, so it was not happening. Yeah, so he has to open it again. Wow, he got shot. Why? Because in a network society, it's exponentially that it's going out. So whatever you think about that positive, think on that and bring it in and leverage to your team. And so the challenge for you is to pave the way. That means you have to visualize the future realistic actions, realistic actions. You have to visualize that, the action, because you see, if you don't see it, the other will not see it. You have to see that, yeah, and clear deliverables. And I strongly believe that what you do underlines what you say. Most people are just talking. And at the end of the day, your words will be crossed, not underlined. Let's be honest here for a moment, for all of us. Let's take the fade away and let's be honest, yeah? We all fail. Isn't that true? We all fail. Not always. But the honesty is to say in a situation where you not visualized it, where you blew it, to say, I'm sorry. It makes you human. It brings power. Because the others are also human. They also fail. But the reality is, honesty and integrity you cannot buy, you cannot educate, you have to learn it. And you learn it to trust. Trust is the most important principle for the future. Believe me, I'm strongly in that. I know I have seen so much in my life. I cannot tell you right now out of time because I want to give really the stage Tommy that he has enough time to bring us what all happens in Activision and how great this is. But you see, trust is all what counts at the end of the day. Why? Because we have to trust in the selling modes, in the selling models. I put that here for your help to understand what that means. If I started with the beginning with transactional sales, consulting sales, and enterprise sales. You see, the thing is, the difference is here, you trust the product, you trust Amazon. You trust that they deliver, that they have the product, and that's why you buy. In that where we are, you trust the person, the experts. You trust them. You hear that on the phone. I was watching the other day the new movie from The Wolf of Wall Street. And you see, that was fake trust. And at the end of the day, he paid the price. People today, it will not happen anymore so fast. Why? Because it's out of the network community. It's easy to see if you can trust. And so in the enterprise sales, definitely you have to trust the institution. You have to trust that this is the big institution for that, and this is what you do, and how you do that, and understand that. So let me summarize that. In a scalable environment like today, you have to be predictable and dependable. What that means, If your people cannot predict you, that means they know how, they don't know how you tick. They say, maybe tomorrow he's different. Maybe next week he has a different mindset. Yeah? So you cannot predictable. And you have to depend on these people. Otherwise, how you can raise a team? And for that reason, integration is everything and the foundation for scale. That's it, all about. And let me summarize with this guy who recently died when he said, always seems impossible until it's done. It's in your brain, it's in your idea, as it's in mine, and this is why we will be also a billion company one day. Thank you.